Today, Hillary Clinton, the election denier, claims Republicans are planning to steal the 2024 election. Joe Biden thinks Kamala is president yet again, and a New York judge strikes down the city's vaccine mandate. We've got all of that and more coming up, and it all starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez. I am joined today by Jaco Booyens, BlazeTV contributor and host of The Bottom Line. Also joined by my good friend Grant Stinchfield, once again back in the building, host of Stinchfield, the podcast, which you need to be subscribed to on Rumble and Apple. Go there.
Spotify too.
Spotify, anywhere you can get your audio podcast, but also on Rumble. All right, so make sure you go there. Okay, so Hillary Clinton, I'm told, just did a bad thing, a really, really bad thing, because I've been told for the last 2 years that to question the results of any election ever is actually an unforgivable sin.
It's taboo.
You cannot do it. You cannot do it and expect to live in polite society. But Hillary Clinton just did this video for the anti-Trump organization Indivisible, which is just hilarious from the people who are trying to divide the country the most. She claims that right-wing extremists are already planning to steal the upcoming 2024 election. Watch.
I know we're all focused on the 2022 midterm elections, and they are incredibly important. But we also have to look ahead, because you know what? Our opponents certainly are. Right-wing extremists already have a plan to literally steal the next presidential election. And they're not making a secret of it. The right-wing controlled Supreme Court may be poised to rule on giving state legislatures, yes, you heard me that correctly, state legislatures the power to overturn presidential elections. Just think, if that happens, the 2024 presidential election could be decided not by the popular vote or even by the anachronistic Electoral College, but by state legislatures, many of them Republican-controlled. But there's also good news in the face of this very real threat to democracy.
What?
Indivisible has launched Crush the Coup to make sure we're ready to defend democracy in 2024.
Oh, thank God. Indivisible has launched Crush the Coup. We couldn't afford not to do it. We have to save our democracy. I just want to add for context that the Supreme Court case that Hillary is referring to actually concerns the independent state legislature theory, which was invoked in, of course, Bush versus Gore and raised by Donald Trump during the 2020 election. So under this theory, the Constitution grants state legislatures the sole authority to regulate federal elections in their states without oversight from state courts. Now, I just want to way back when, in 2020, just recall, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court actually went against state law by allowing a 3-day extension for mail-in ballots.
That's right. And
this particular Supreme Court case concerns the redistricting process undertaken by North Carolina's GOP-controlled General Assembly. This is really gross stuff coming from the party who just, I mean, again, you're saying the word election denier is like the worst thing that you could be called, according to the left. Like this, like you're really sticking it to them if you say you're an election denier. That's like you might as well put the tinfoil hat on your head. Yet in history, we've got Stacey Abrams, who still, I think, thinks that she's the governor of Georgia. I'm not sure that she's gotten the memo yet that she did not actually win that election. You've got all of these throughout history. Hillary Clinton parading around talking about how she really would have won and she was the rightful winner if it weren't for Russia's interference. I mean, you have these people, Democrats have a very long history of denying elections, and now all of a sudden right-wing extremists already have a plan to steal the 2024 election. Or perhaps it could just possibly be that Democrats understand the writing on the wall that they're about to get creamed in the midterms and quite possibly in the 2024 election, and they're trying to set the groundwork now for their next crazy conspiracy theory.
Yeah, look, Nancy Pelosi's plaque is coming off the wall. That private elevator, I've been there.
That's now going to change hands, maybe to like maybe a Mr. McCarthy. That's going to happen. But the greatest...
It's not that much better.
No, not that much.
But we'll take the
R.
But
the greatest election denier of all time is, of course, Miss Clinton, who 6 years post her defeat now of Donald Trump still thinks she won the election. But I'm sure, Sarah, tomorrow she'll be shadow banned. She'll be banned from Twitter, right?
Oh,
she should be banned from YouTube this very moment. I don't know how we found that clip because it should have been completely in the abyss.
Yeah.
You know, no, come on. Look, what Miss Clinton is really telling you is, secret's out. They may do to us what we did to them. They may know they're coming for you, right? No, you are the ones who...
Yeah, I mean, well, fortify, right? They fortified the last election, or so they said. I mean, it was there was an article.
They fortified it well, Sarah.
An article written about it in Time magazine.
I believe they exploited their own state legislatures, their own Democratic governors, by taking advantage of a mail-in ballot scheme the likes we've never seen before.
At a local level.
At a very local level.
At a local level.
There was a lack of investigations in anything. I'm still looking for answers from what happened in 2020. I had video that I played when I was at Newsmax on my show of people counting ballots multiple times. The video shows it. There may have been a very good reason for that. I don't know, but there was no investigation into that. Let's just review. The Constitution says that each state has the right to decide how the vote goes down when it comes to electing a president. You get to decide how you want to do it. We don't have a popular vote in this country. We use the Electoral College and the Constitution, our founding fathers, that's the system in place. You want to change the system, guess what our founding fathers did? They put in place a system that allows you to go change the system if you would like to do it. So have at it, Hillary Clinton. I'm worried about the 2022 and 2024 election with the mail-in ballot scheme. When you say we're going to mail ballots to everyone, and you have a lot of states across this country that are mailing ballots to everyone on the voter rolls when we know that the addresses are wrong, we know those people, some have died, we know some of them don't live where they live, and then you're saying we're going to go pick up ballots from these people, hope they filled them out, they're probably going to get filled out by the people picking them up, and then drop them off. You're telling me that's not a scheme? What else is it? And it's not going to work in Republicans' favor because Republicans love to go to the polls. Democrats are lazy. But now they found a way for lazy people not to vote, or lazy people to vote.
Well, when you open the door, human nature is innately, we tend towards what is immoral and corrupt and ungodly, right? I mean, it's sacrifice and compromise to walk the line. When you open doors and give opportunity for people to be immoral, well, they're going to embrace it. And that's the other side of the aisle. I just say this, I am concerned, as you are too, because they did, in fact, impact the elections at a very local level, at legislators. We know Dallas County Judge Clay Jenkins, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'm equally concerned whether we'll actually show up at the polls enough to bridge the gap that we shot short last time. I think we need to play like maybe we could be 20 points behind and show up in those numbers.
You have Republicans right now telling people don't show up to vote early, show up on election day. That's the worst advice you could possibly give. If you can get to the polls, get there when you can. And if you don't think you're going to be able to get to the polls, then mail your freaking ballot in because they are going to beat us in the end by people not doing what they say. I ran for Congress in 2011. I lost in a primary. I literally would go to people I know and I'd say, hey, you got to vote for me. It's early voting. Go vote. Oh, I voted. These are people that are supposed to be committed. They don't understand that I can literally go look and see who voted. I can't tell how you voted, but I can go see if you voted. These are people that didn't vote. Telling you, oh, well, it doesn't matter.
Because they think that someone else is going to pick up their slack. They think it's okay because enough people will actually show up. Absolutely not.
No, it's you. It's every single person.
So I want to play a clip. Ted Cruz, God bless him, actually went on The View. I really hesitate to figure out, I can't understand why. I don't know why you would subject yourself.
I'll give you a reason.
Tell me.
In fact, I think it's the most important place where we need to go. Every conservative should be. I know you're going on Fox and Friends tomorrow morning. Great place to go. But really, I would like to see you, me, you on MSNBC,
CNN.
on CNN,
Yeah,
on The View,
absolutely.
on any late night program possible, because this is where we can reach voices that
Bring
maybe
truth
there's
in.
a few that are open to the idea or haven't heard the idea of freedom. We can preach to the choir all day long. Ted Cruz going on The View, he reaches people that have never heard the message before. Most of them will hate him still. But
Right.
there might be a few that actually say, holy cow, he's got a point.
That's true.
Can
That's
you imagine
true.
if he swings 2% of the viewers, 1% of the viewers that by just watching CNN never hear a second opinion?
So to your point, he was talking about all of this election denier, type thing, and he brought up the same points that I brought up at the beginning of the show. What about Hillary Clinton? What about Stacey Abrams? And I'm not sure that this conversation went exactly like the clucking hens over at The View expected. Let's watch that.
Try to say the election was fair and square and legitimate. You know who y'all don't do that to? You don't do it to Hillary Clinton, who stood up and said Trump stole
they
the
didn't
election.
storm
You
the
don't-
Capitol. They didn't
you
try
don't
to
do it
kill my
Stacey
former
Abrams, who
boss.
said that the election was stolen. They sat here
Yes.
and said it was
That's right.
illegitimate,
And
and
it
you
was.
guys were fine with it. Okay, so it's illegitimate when Republicans win, but not when Democrats.
No, here's the thing. We may not like when Republicans win, but we don't go and we don't storm. We don't try to change. But
Did I miss an entire year of Antifa riots where cities across this country were burning and police cars were being fired
I
on?
guess you did.
Your position is the left doesn't engage in violence? Really?
Wow.
Did
The
not know
left
how they
is the
thought.
most violent
Yes.
political faction in America.
Come on, yes.
100%. Black Lives Matter. They're made up of violent goons who use any kind of political discourse. They use it as an excuse to rob, loot, and steal. You've got Antifa that all they want to do is destroy, because I think they get off on destroying stuff. This is, thank God Ted Cruz goes on there. And look, Whoopi Goldberg says, I don't know about an Antifa riot.
That's what struck me too. I'm like,
How convenient.
well, it's like, okay, so
How
either
convenient.
you're a liar or you're
a
highly
liar.
unqualified to do your job,
She's a
or
liar.
both, quite
She's
frankly.
a liar.
Highly unqualified to do your job, that you were doing your program the entire summer of 2020 and somehow don't remember cities burning?
Do you know when the doorbell rings, it goes ding dong?
Yeah.
Okay? I'm convinced all of them are ding dongs. I really do believe that they actually believe what they're saying. They are so uninformed about so much stuff. They are so duped, so brainwashed. Joy Behar, was she even on that? Is she even on there anymore?
think
She
she
talk
is.
about ding dong number one.
You know, Grant, there's a scripture, honestly, but I want to bring this in. There's a scripture that says they're under a spirit of stupor.
Yeah.
Stupid. That's what that is. They do believe that they're right, and they believe that if you change your mind tomorrow, this is a new truth.
Yeah.
I know nothing about Antifa. I'm sure we can just dig for 4 minutes and find view clips where she comments on the riots by Antifa. She's a liar, and through that, unqualified. Completely unqualified.
I call it blind liberal zombieism. Okay?
The
And
Walking
it
Dead.
affects the brain.
Yeah.
You are not able to have common sense.
Yeah.
You are not able to critically reason, and you follow idiots and ding-dongs blindly. It's blind liberal zombieism. It's a real thing.
It's The
You should
Walking
make that
Dead.
into like some merch.
I should.
I would totally buy that merch.
GrantStinchfield.com, Stinchfield's Army Gear.
Yeah, there you go. So I want to, you're talking about how violent they are. Case in point, Senator Marco Rubio said one of his campaign staffers, one of his campaign volunteers was brutally attacked while canvassing for him on Sunday. He was wearing a Rubio shirt and a DeSantis hat. And he suffered internal bleeding, a broken jaw, and will need facial reconstructive surgery. And they arrested 22-year-old Javier Jesus Lopez. An arrest report said Lopez told the victim that he should not be passing out flyers in his neighborhood. And the victim, of course, responded, "I'm on public property." And, of course, that's not. Look, I've been engaged in these verbal altercations with the left for quite a while in all of my, canvassing for particular candidates, showing up at the polls. And it really is fascinating to me that I guess it's because they've replaced their religion with this.
Yes.
That they're visceral in their reaction, that they have to get physical. They can't help themselves. It's bizarre to me because I don't.
Yeah, when you're possessed, Sarah, the demon takes over, and you don't have no control. You're going to do what the demon wants you to do, and they're possessed. They've completely abdicated their responsibility as human beings to actually care about human beings. This is the party that couldn't care less, which is why they're talking about post-birth abortions and stuff. They are completely possessed. And we need to just know, the great Sun Tzu always tells you, know your enemy. Understand the battle that we're in. And to your previous comment about people showing up at the polls, if Americans truly understand what's at stake here, they'll show up. Yeah. It's because they don't the penny doesn't quite drop yet. This is as personal as it's going to get right now. Right. This is a one-on-one personal issue. And so I implore people to physically get uncomfortable and go do something about it. Show up.
I've seen a trend now across America that you have people with no regard for human life, mostly leftists, mostly radical Democrats, that will kill you for nothing. Mm-hmm. And so I would offer this up to anybody out there working as a conservative, canvassing, even just in your daily life, driving around or walking around, is do not mistake evading violence as weakness. Mm. It is not. Mm-hmm. You have a job to go back to your family. Mm-hmm. There are those on the left that will beat up a guy walking neighborhoods for the betterment of how he believes America should go. Mm-hmm. You've got to, and I don't know how this went down. I'm certainly not blaming him by any means. This is the goon that beat him up is fully to blame, but you've got to de-escalate situations because nowadays you're out there, even in just driving around in your car. People will pull out a gun and shoot you for cutting them off.
Yeah. Like Africa.
It isn't worth getting in a fight with these goons.
Yeah.
It isn't.
Yeah, amen. All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Omega XL. So maybe you've reached the age where things hurt. You wake up and you're like limping and people are like, what happened? Did you have a sports injury? You're like, no, I slept. That's all. I slept. You can try Omega XL. It's a natural, drug-free fatty acid combination from the waters of New Zealand. And it has over 35 years of research behind it, millions of bottles sold. You know why? Because it works. It actually attacks the root cause of your pain, which oftentimes people don't realize. It's actually the inflammation that is causing your pain. And if you're taking you're rubbing a topical cream on it or what have you, it's going to feel good for 10 minutes, and then it's going to stop, and you're going to be left in pain again. You got to try Omega XL. It could be life-changing. I know because I was in a car accident a while back and had some herniated and protruding discs, and I realized how much pain can affect every facet of your life. So if you are in pain, you got to try this. It really works. You can order a bottle of Omega XL now. Get a second bottle for free over at omegaxl.com/news. That is omegaxl.com/news. Well, in case you missed it, it was Kamala Harris's birthday. And yesterday, Joe Biden wished her a happy birthday. But oopsies, mistakenly once again referred to her as the president. Watch.
She turned 30. Happy birthday, great president. We know your mom's always with you.
He also referred to Kamala as the highest-ranking Black Indian with Indian background woman.
What?
And you elected the highest-ranking Black Indian with Indian background woman in American history to be vice president.
Whoop, whoop. That was Kamala, I think.
Maybe,
or Whoopi.
Maybe if we cheer really loudly, we can hide the fact that he has no idea what he's talking about. Maybe. Also, they elected, the president chooses who his vice president is going to be. They don't necessarily, the voters aren't like, God, you know who we want? Kamala. We love her. Because they had the opportunity to do that. And they rejected her overwhelmingly.
I think she finished last, didn't she?
She got 2%.
I was going to say 1 or 2%.
2% of the vote. Yeah, she did very well. She's completely qualified.
The other day he called Fetterman's wife, the guy who was running for Senate against Oz in Pennsylvania, with the dirty, dirty, dirty sweatsuit and the hot dog pack on the back of his neck. He's some candidate they put up there, and we're tied, which is how in the world that is, right? But he said to his wife, this is Joe Biden, she's going to make a great lady in the Senate, as if she's going to be the next senator. Yeah. She's going to make a great lady in the Senate.
Well, maybe he's thinking of his own personal circumstance, which is his wife is the one who's calling all of the shots.
She's living high, man. She's first lady, and she's abusing her husband all the way through it. She's like, get out there, old man.
Maybe that's what they're telling Joe this is. Maybe he actually thinks his wife is the one who's president. And
he's not president. Kamala's president, according to him.
That's true. Crap.
Remember, He's just hanging out.
That's true. That's
He
true.
loves it. It's nice. Did you see his interview with, was it James Corbyn, somebody in the White House, in the Oval Office? And he goes, so if you wanted ice cream, how quick would you get ice cream? And our president goes, I don't know, let's find out. Let's hit this button. And he hits a button.
Oh, God.
And a butler walks in and he goes, we want ice cream. This is what's happening in the Oval Office, dude.
You think it was a setup?
Yes, but I would just...
Still, it's time. It's time. You're
Yeah.
representing the American people, buddy.
Yeah.
We need to work here. Versus Trump that never slept. This guy that's never awake, even when his eyes are open, he's never awake. It's a circus show.
If I was president, I hit a button, Tito's on the Rocks comes out. Very quickly. Like this, Mr. President.
Love this. I'm voting for you because I want to be invited and have that happen.
Of course.
But with Joe
I don't
Biden...
know what Tito's on the Rocks is, so...
Vodka.
Okay. But but with Joe Biden, you start telling a story about Joe Biden going, I don't know, and fumbling around to press a button on his desk, and I'm like, whoa, did he just start nuclear war? Which button is he pressing?
What button?
I don't know. I'm a little panicked here.
Oh, my gosh.
So also this particular conference that he was holding, he also compared business owners who took out PPP loans to prevent their businesses from shutting down to college kids who took out loans for an education that they couldn't pay for. He suggested the educated public that comes out of universities will grow the economy more than struggling business owners. Watch.
The program we allowed people, the PPP program, to get money back if their business were in trouble. Well, you have, I think it's 4 or 5 Republicans were published in the print in the paper, who got from $2.1 million relief to $187 million. I forget the exact number. And they made no apologies for that. They thought it's okay for them to get that relief for their business, but you breaking your neck and getting caught in the middle of a crisis, you can't get any relief for the debt. And guess who's going to grow the economy more? An educated public or those guys?
This is like really grotesque stuff. Honestly, it's one of the worst things, one of the more offensive things I think that Joe Biden has said, and that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot because you're comparing people who the government forced you to be shut down. They forced you, they took away your ability to be able to provide food on the table for your family. You're comparing that to a bunch of spoiled, selfish, entitled brats who decided to get a degree in gender theory and are now completely baffled as to why they can't repay their loans. Even if that's not what they choose to get their degree in, they know what they're signing up for when they sign up for it, and they sign the paper and they choose to go into this. Business owners did not choose to get shut down. And furthermore, the elitism is just dripping off of that comment. The educated public or those guys, those entrepreneurs who are providing, food for all of you, and the construction workers who are building the infrastructure it is so disrespectful. This is what they think about you. This is what the liberal elites think about you.
Can we remind everyone, too, what the PPP program was? It was the Paycheck Protection program.
That's right.
It wasn't about just giving business owners money.
Right.
It was about helping pay their employees that were out of work because these idiots, let's go back to the term ding dong, he's a ding dong too, shut the whole country down. And the Democrats were on board with this PPP. And believe me, there was probably a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse based with that PPP program because they were handing out money, not to disparage drunken sailors, but they were handing out money like drunken sailors.
Yeah, but you're talking about institutions like Harvard, $52 billion endowment took PPP. Look, the people he's disparaging are the ones who create jobs, who at the time took the loan proportionately according to the standards of the PPP. So if someone got 2.1 million or 180 million, they're probably employing 10,000 people, right? So you don't want to frown upon those guys. Those guys are keeping families alive through COVID that you shut down. They actually put food on the table, right, by getting the loan to pay their staff. There's a restaurant owner, and I'll leave his name out, in Dallas, Texas. And he owns a very, very famous Mexican restaurant chain. Did not miss a single paycheck on a single employee throughout COVID.
Why don't you name him? It's got to be Javier's. Right?
No, it's Mi Casina.
It's Mi Casina?
It's Mi Casina.
Okay. But that's a great thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they should be famous
Ray
for that.
Washburn, incredible guy, went on Fox and Ray, we were told you're paying all your people? And he goes, yes. So what do you say to that guy now? Who paid?
Right.
Probably a bunch of liberals.
Yeah.
Kept
Right.
food on liberals' table. No, that's the bad guy.
Right.
Because he took money. It's such a gross misrepresentation of a catastrophe that the government created in the first place. And then they want to penalize the guy who wants to put food on the table of employees because it was a paycheck protection program.
Right.
It wasn't just like get some money, maybe like Harvard, and go buy a yacht.
Right.
You know, so insane.
Just the sheer arrogance that they have when they make these statements that because someone goes to college, they're better than you, right? And I say this as a college graduate, but as college has gotten more and more extreme and radical and crazy, you're literally just paying thousands and thousands of dollars a semester to indoctrinate your children into garbage.
If you
That's
think
it.
about it, the Democrats, who say they're for the working people,
Yeah.
are the party of the degree and
100%.
certificate
Yes.
society.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
The toilet
And
paper degree.
Well, they're not even pretending that they're not with
Right.
statements like this. They're bragging about it at
Right.
this point.
But
It's
Sarah,
really
they have
disgusting.
to, though. They have to push college education because that's where they indoctrinate the
I know,
kids.
I know.
So they must.
I know.
Yeah.
Bring him to the camp.
You're absolutely right. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be back with more.
Am I drunk?
MSNBC, the folks over at MSNBC still don't quite get it. An MSNBC reporter was speaking to Pennsylvania Trump voters about January 6th. Because remember, January 6th is still supposed to be the thing. We got to vote thinking about what happened at January 6th and vote accordingly. And she was not prepared for some of the pushback that she received from these voters. Watch.
Mastriano was at the insurrection and he was photographed breaching one of the restricted areas. Is that okay?
Which area? Because I saw a video where Capitol officers
Yes.
were taking away barriers and unlocking
Opening
doors.
doors.
For people. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
They opened the gates.
So it shouldn't be disqualifying for an elected official
No,
if
definitely.
they
as long as he
participated in
didn't-
January
he
6th?
He didn't strike anybody. He didn't hurt anybody.
And the only one that died was a protester there, not a Capitol Police
Unarmed
officer.
female veteran was
That's
shot
the
by
only one that
police.
died.
That's the only one who died.
Anybody who caused property destruction, that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah,
but if
I'm
you're
on
there
your
making
side.
your voice heard at the
Right.
people's house, no less,
Yeah.
that's, again, it's a fundamental constitutional right of an American citizen. And people should not be being held political prisoner because of it.
For misdemeanors. That's East Germany.
That's East Germany.
Tactics.
Yeah, that's what's scary.
It was an actual fiery but mostly peaceful protest. And the other ones that were the
Was the protest legitimate in your
Our
eyes
administration,
because
I feel like, is using it as their Reichstag fire.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they're using it as.
She's like, yeah, but what about the people who work there whose feelings were hurt? What about them? But he actually walked into but I mean, she's trying so hard to paint a narrative. At one point, she even says, "But police officers died." And they're like, no, that's not true. They did not die there. That's a rumor. Yeah, that was actually a stroke later. And she's like, yeah, but my feelings are hurt. And that's what it comes down
Funny
to.
how they care about the police when it fits them, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, and thank you for your former service, but for the police. No,
I wasn't a cop.
Oh, you were not?
No.
Oh, I
don't
thought you
want
were.
any
Thank
false,
you for your
false,
former service anyway.
I thought you were.
I'm just a defender of liberty.
He's just a defender of
is
liberty.
all. Yeah.
Strong Second Amendment guy.
But not
Well,
a cop.
anyway, thank you for your citizenship. For still being
Your citizenship. I love 2A. Look,
listen,
I
you know,
love
right.
2A.
I love that with guns. Is that
no,
yours?
but Sarah, you know,
No.
some head
love
did
that.
roll after that interview. Whoever polled the people, like whoever brought the people into the room, you can imagine that heads were rolling. Like, who put these people together?
Yeah.
They're not fitting the narrative. They're not supporting what we want
Well,
them
she
to
thought
say.
she was going to finally get a gotcha where they go, oh, you're right. It was the darkest day of our democracy. It was worse than 9/11. You are absolutely correct. You know what? We're going to vote Democrat for the rest of our lives. Like, it just felt like she was digging for that moment.
I'm going to do this very quickly because I think it's a good opportunity to do this. So on that day, you have rabble-rousers with bullhorns telling people to go in. Those people have never been arrested. Who are they? I want to know. Are they involved with the FBI? Are they informants? The FBI paid $42 million each year to confidential informants. We don't know who they are. You have barricades that were removed. You have signs that were removed that says, do not enter these areas. Who removed those signs? I want to know who removed those signs. And they talked about people dying. I interviewed a guy today who's gone over 7,000 hours of these videos. And there is a woman who died shortly after that, not Ashley Babbitt, not the woman shot going through the door, an unarmed Trump supporter, but another woman who he has uncovered video of her being beaten by sticks with batons by police officers. Never has been explained, and in fact, the cops have said, "Oh no, it was reasonable force." She died. They now claimed it was a drug overdose, and her family is going crazy about this. The amount of cover-ups that has happened with J6 is insane, and nobody's answering any questions. And this January 6th committee certainly isn't. You've got them manipulating audio every step of the way. You've got video that they use. We all remember the video of them storming into the rotunda from the surveillance camera. That surveillance camera does not have audio on it. For the J6 committee, they dubbed audio of outside audio over and they inserted that as evidence. So this is what we're up against. The MSNBC lady, I guess the only thing I'm surprised is that they didn't stack the deck with who they were interviewing.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm shocked they didn't do that.
That's what I'm saying. Some had rolled because they surely intended to, or create an audience for like they normally do that's favorable, right, to the questions. Yeah.
Well, I want to switch gears here for a minute and talk about a recent Project Veritas video that was released, because this does seem to be a thing that the Democrats are trying to latch on to, this extremism, right? We've seen how the president has, all of the Democrats have tried to very slowly and methodically start calling the entire Republican, if you consider yourself conservative, if you consider yourself Republican, you are now known as an extremist because of the language that they have used. So Becky Hobbs, the twin sister of Arizona gubernatorial candidate Katie Hobbs, was caught by Project Veritas just admitting that Democrats have actually been donating to what they believe are extreme MAGA candidates across the country to try and improve the Democrats' chances, because they think that it will be easier for them to win against these extremists. Watch.
So all across the country, Democrat candidates, not candidates themselves, but the party, was putting money in primaries into the races of the extreme Trump-endorsed candidates, as opposed to the moderate Republicans that were running, because they wanted those extremists to win, because they knew that the Dems had a better chance of winning their races against the extremist candidates than they did against the moderate Republicans. Everyone knew that Katie had a better chance to win against Carrie Lake. So everyone wanted Carrie Lake to be the nominee. So it was kind of like this sigh of relief when Carrie Lake actually ended up winning. Yeah. Because Katie, it's a better opponent for her.
Because she's
Get her butt kicked by Carrie Lake.
This is who we're losing to. This is who we are neck and neck with. These types of people.
Unfortunately, yes.
They're idiots. And the woman next to her, what? Oh. This is who we're neck and neck with? What is going on in America?
Look who's in the White House, a non-formidable opponent. A guy who was in a basement, who did not campaign, didn't have to.
I'm trying to find the latest polling for Arizona.
Well, let me just tell you something about Carrie Lake.
Carrie's up. I think she's going to win.
This woman is unbelievable when it comes to campaigning.
I have such a girl crush on her.
Her ability to speak on her feet.
Her whole team, her husband, the whole team is stellar.
Taking the fight to the media.
Class act.
Calling out the left.
Yes.
She has got to win. I think there's big things ahead for Carrie Lake.
And for Arizona, we need that state to finally say, hey, we are red, not purple, because Arizona, it's dicey. You can drive 20 city blocks one way and another way, and things change.
Do you know, when she got laid off from her TV news job, remember, I was in regular mainstream TV too before I went into conservative politics. I brought her on the Newsmax show, and I was skeptical. And I said, are you really a conservative? How do we know you're really a conservative? And she said, I understand the question. And she answered the question. It was, she got off air, and I said, you know what? I believe her. There's something about her that is special. And
well, she's authentic, right? That's
she's
the thing.
bringing the heat now.
There's authenticity.
I mean, it really, all that you need to know is that Katie Hobbs won't even show up on a debate stage with her. That's how scared she is facing her.
Yeah, because that whole thing, polling that Kerry was going to be the best, something went wrong with your polling. You just picked a bear. You picked the candidate that is going, I believe she's going to take it. I really believe she's going to win. I believe she's resonating with and winning people over, even not that she won you over, but those who were maybe skeptical in the beginning.
Yeah.
When you meet her in person and you work with her team, excellent, absolutely excellent.
Yeah. All right, we've got to take a quick break. We'll be back with more. Yeah, it is.
We met with her several times. We helped her draft.
Big news coming out of New York. A New York Supreme Court judge ruled the city's vaccine mandate for all city employees is arbitrary, capricious, and unconstitutional, which you, like a common, regular, average American, should have known the minute that it happened. And all of us here at this table, I'm sure, were saying the same thing. So it's nice to know that when did they do this? What, last year? It's been over a year, right?
The mandate? Yeah, over a year.
Yes. It's nice to know that this has been happening this whole time. Hate to say I told you so, but told you so. All employees terminated. This is the bigger thing. All employees that were terminated for their vaccination status will be reinstated and receive back pay for violating their rights. The court, of course, wrote that being vaccinated against COVID-19 does not prevent an individual from contracting or transmitting COVID-19, and noted that the vaccinated and unvaccinated individuals have the same quarantine and isolation guidelines issued by the CDC. The judge wrote, the vaccine mandate for city employees was not just about safety and public health. It was about compliance. If it was about safety and public health, unvaccinated workers would have been placed on leave the moment the order was issued. Look, I see this as a win in hindsight. Like, I saw this and was really, really glad and really pumped about the decision. It's a problem that it had to take this long and it had to go all the way to the New York Supreme Court for this to happen. And I'm glad that they're getting back pay, but it's like, how many of them lost their homes in the year or over that they were waiting for this to be adjudicated? And, you can't get that time back. So I'm glad that the court is doing what it can, but it's really unfortunate. Grant, I'm going to go to you first because New York is where you're from.
It is.
It's a bittersweet story for me, I think.
I'm just as I'm embarrassed to say I used to work in mainstream television, I'm embarrassed to say that I grew up in New York. I really am.
But it was a different New York.
It was a different New York. I live in Texas now, and I'm proud to be a Texan.
Yeah.
But New York has turned its back on not just me, but it's turned its back on every single citizen there. The sad part is most of the citizens don't even understand that they had their backs turned on them. But you had these people pushed out that have probably lost a lot. But it's not just New York. I've talked to people in L.A. You got police and firemen there that have been kicked off the job because they wouldn't get vaccinated. We've got members of our military, not to promote it, but I will. Tomorrow, Jim Jordan is on my podcast. And Jim Jordan says if we take back the House, he wants to hold the National Defense Authorization Act hostage and say, hey, Democrats, we reinstate every member of our military back with back pay who were not vaccinated, and we don't pass the National Defense Authorization Act until that happens. That's the kind of moves we need from Republicans.
Yes.
And so,
and I think in that case, if I can say a couple of things, the military, they go back to their jobs. I don't know if the New York cop goes back to his job. I don't know if they want it back.
That's what I was wondering.
A lot
How many of them
people,
take the reinstatement?
I don't think they do because the city is in a shambles. The military, and I would hope, because we lost incredibly talented men and women from the military, and I want them to go back. But I don't know that the nurses and the state employees go back in New York. But it points to the egregious nature of the left. They know our court system, and they know that if we do it wrong now, it's going to take them 12 to 18 months before they reach the Supreme Court level and they can slap us on the wrist. So let's smash and grab what we can in the process. They know this very well. So it is a win. But it takes time to go through the courts all the way to a Supreme Court.
To your point, they just had a Supreme Court decision, the federal Supreme Court decision that came down about their gun laws there. And what did they do in response? They just passed more gun laws that they know are unconstitutional. They know it will be struck down eventually.
Yes.
They know it. They just don't care.
No, they don't. And in fact, I think this whole mandate idea in all of these liberal cities and states was to purge critically thinking conservatives from the ranks.
Yes.
They did not want anybody
Power
who
grab.
would be asking questions or pushing back against tyrannical oppression. And so you get rid of all, especially with the police force.
Yeah.
Anybody that's going to say, hey, I don't want to vax, I'm asking questions about this, I don't like the government telling me what to do, they don't want those people as a cop. And I've offered this up to every single police officer out there right now. You decide what you are going to do. I'm going to look to every one of you. You decide what you are going to do when you are given an unconstitutional order. You figure out a plan now before you're given that order, because it is coming. I promise you. And it was about pushing those people off of the force. Wait till the orders come to then trample our rights.
Yeah. I want to get to more I told you so dummy coronavirus news. Yesterday, the Washington Post published this article. I legitimately, people were like, is this a real headline? Yes, it is. I read the stupid article. It's called Regular Exercise May Improve the Effectiveness of Coronavirus Vaccines. And it goes on to claim that exercisers who were vaccinated were about 25% less likely to be hospitalized with COVID than sedentary people who were also vaccinated. So the outcome there that you come to, the conclusion here, is that you got to get the vaccine, but if you do the exercise on top of it, it makes the vaccine work more effectively. Not that if you exercise and you're in shape, your immune system will be better to you and will be kinder to you, and you will suffer less hospitalizations in general if you are fit and healthy.
Hello.
Which, by the way, we were banned from social media if we said something like, no, actually, you could just do things like go out and exercise, get some vitamin D, get some sunshine, make sure that you're not overweight. These are all things that you could be doing to protect yourself from coronavirus. You got banned from social media if you said that. Now they're just like, oh, exercise actually helps, but only if you get the vaccine.
Right.
No, but it actually was the opposite that happened, right? You had Governor Cuomo offering free burgers.
Right. Krispy Kreme donuts.
Come eat yourself fat and be safe from COVID as long as you get the vaccine.
Don't worry,
right?
you're healthy as long as you get the vax.
You're unvaxxed?
Yes.
Professional athlete.
Unvaxxed.
You're not ever gotten real super sick. It ever hurt you from COVID?
I had COVID, and every single flu was worse.
Yeah.
Every flu was worse
than COVID. It was a nothing. It was a bump. I lost taste and smell and did not even hesitate to just keep doing life. I was here. We worked.
I work out.
You were here when you had COVID?
So was I. I wonder if
Yeah, wait.
I work out all the time. I've rarely ever been sick. The times I've had COVID, nothing. And I'm a wannabe professional wrestler. So
I think you can do it. I know Linda McMahon. I think we need to get
so
you in
what
there.
you're saying
so,
is
too.
maybe it's just the exercise.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the point.
So you're saying that science, if we're talking about science,
Yeah.
there's no like component of a vaccine where it like activates more if you exercise.
You're in amazing shape. Have you been sick?
No.
No.
The opposite is happening, Sarah. You've got professional athletes who got the vaccine, who have unexplainedly died on the field.
Maybe they weren't exercising enough.
Okay. Now all of a sudden they get what's called athlete's foot. Maybe. No, it's an athletic heart condition where the vaccine with extreme exercise is actually lowering the heart rate down to 30 beats a minute, right? So eat healthy, take care of your body. Those were fighting words through COVID. You could not say that.
We're not allowed to say it.
Eat the hamburger and get the vaccine.
I think I told you. I think I told you this the last time. There was a study done that says those who believe in conspiracy theories have a much lower risk of myocarditis.
Where's the lie? Show me the lie. We got to take a break. We'll be back. I love that.
Athlete's foot.
Time magazine has reported that Twitter employees have written an open letter to protest Elon Musk's plan to fire 75% of them. It reads, Elon Musk's plan to lay off 75% of Twitter workers will hurt Twitter's ability to serve the public conversation. A threat of this magnitude is reckless. It undermines our users' and customers' trust in our platform and is a transparent act of worker intimidation. It also demands that Musk commit to preserving Twitter's current headcount. He does not discriminate against employees based on their political beliefs, and that he commits to fair severance policies, also respect and safety for workers on visas. Fire all of them. That's what I say.
I say fire all of them and start over, because that thing is rotten to the core.
Anytime an employee gives you a demand letter as an employer, I'm like, nah, you're gone.
What standard? Did they hold themselves to those standards? No, they didn't.
No. Last word, Grant.
I hate Twitter.
So well put. So simple.
Such a
Just
strong
so
word.
well put.